Welcome back, I'm Stan.
I'm Guy, and here's my Twitter handle.
And we are with the basement. This is part 2 of our October Wrestling Roundtable. In this roundtable, we're going to discuss news and current going on in the WWE. I'll let you hit your list first because I have kind of a mess.
Yeah, I have a very, very short list. This is, I don't know, not a very interesting week for me.
It's been kind of a weird month. Wasn't necessarily the most exciting month.
No, the most interesting thing going on for me right now is the Miz and Ziggler feud.
The Miz and Ziggler feud continuing on. You had ultimately kind of I think we're reaching the blow off of the feud. On the 27th of September, you had on SmackDown, you had Miz's Homecoming.
Yep.
Miz Homecoming, where he had videos, and he cut just an amazing promo. And then Miz starts taunting Ziggler's parents in the crowd.
Yeah, and that's also Ziggler's hometown, too.
Yes.
Which is cool for the feud.
So Ziggler came out, and eventually they set up the match that will be occurring at No Mercy, which we'll discuss more then, but it's an Intercontinental title against Dolph Ziggler's career.
Yeah, when he came out I thought he was going to challenge him for another match, right away.
Yep.
And then Miz was like, I know what you're going to do. You're going to do that. And I'm going to say no. Because how many times are you going to do that?
Right.
And I agree. How many times are they going to,
Yep.
shove that match? You're going to keep having the same match.
Yep.
Over and over and over again. Then he put his career on the line. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit interesting. Because, I don't know too much. I didn't read anything about his contract.
There's a billion different things out there. Initially, there was a lot of, hey, Ziggler's contract is up this month, at the end of October. So it makes sense. He'll lose, whatever. On the flip side of it, I also read a lot of stuff that said there's a year or more left on his contract. And it's possible that if he does lose, he'll take some time off because Ziggler is another one of those guys who's wrestling 300 nights a year. And he's doing it year after. He's done it for a couple of years. It's not like he's taking time off. And they're saying that maybe it's going to be an opportunity for him to take some time off. And he'll come back repackaged.
I read stuff that he was going to go to Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground, I think a lot of people said is a good fit for him. Ultimately, and I know that the WWE, in the long run, wants him to work in the office. Wants him to work behind the scenes, because he is very talented.
Yeah, he does have a lot of injuries. He's had a lot of concussions.
Yeah.
So I could see something like that, retirement is good.
Yeah.
It benefits him.
Yeah, well, as much as I love professional wrestling, no one should put their health and well-being on the line for it. I mean, I know they are every night, but to an extent, you reach a point where it's like, hang it up, man. I'd rather see you alive than enjoy another match and you're dead.
Well, it's like, hockey or football. 2 concussions, okay, you're kind of pushing it.
Yeah. 3
or 4 or 5, you should probably hang it up.
Yep. So yeah, I agree. That's been enjoyable.
That
your phone shut off.
Yeah, that added some good quality to SmackDown.
Yep.
Another thing I think is good that they're finally pursuing is Cena and tying the record with Ric Flair.
I agree.
I mean, I think it's time that Ric Flair takes a back seat and gets out of the spotlight because he's, ancient.
You know what? Keeper. Well, the thing is I very much do like Ric Flair. I just found in my notes, too, when the Miz arrived at the arena, put his poster over the LeBron James poster. I forgot about that. But no, I think Ric Flair definitely holds a point of he was important to the wrestling industry. He was very important to the wrestling industry. I don't see it so much as sacrilege for someone like Cena to come in and take that over. I understand Cena gets a lot of hate, but
he's he is the company. He's like the Hulk Hogan, bad name drop, of now.
Actually, that will lead me on to my next point. But
Yeah, he's the Hulk Hogan of right now.
right.
And I mean, how long do you let it go where you don't have him achieve that?
You don't have him
Yeah.
involved in that title picture when it's
Yeah.
like he's an established star, and you know what? Yeah, he may get this Cena sucks in this, John Cena sucks, whatever. The cold hard facts are A, he's better in the ring now than he ever has been, from a wrestling standpoint. B, he's carried the banner for how long? C, kids love him.
Yeah.
We're at a point in his career where a heel turn doesn't make sense because children love him. And he's such a positive force outside of the ring for the company. Why not? Why not have him set the record? I don't have a problem with it. I know if you go back and watch probably our first videos almost a year ago now, you're going to see me bashing Cena. But the more I watch him, the better he is in the ring. He's enjoyable to watch. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. He's that clean-cut face, and he comes out as the clean-cut face.
Well, he can lay a beat down too when he wants to.
Yeah.
When he wants to turn it on and get, really, really aggressive, he can.
Yeah. And he's in great shape. He's in amazing shape.
Yeah.
He's really. I actually do. More and more I enjoy watching him. I'm not saying I'm a John Cena fan, but I do enjoy watching him.
Yeah, and it's, how, like I said, how long do you let it go? How much does he have left in the tank before you're like, oh, we probably should have done that?
Yeah, rather than putting the title on him when he's looks like Ric Flair.
Yeah.
That'd
be like, how much do you want to bet though that if he does tie the record, Ric Flair wants to come back and get another shot?
Yeah, I think Cena still has some in the tank. I think he probably has another 5 good years in him, and probably 5 mediocre years after that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's time, and it'll be what it'll be.
How about the shittiness that is Bo Dallas?
Oh, come on! You don't like
the chance of "Let's go jobber" when he fights a jobber. Like, I mean, you're basically repackaging Bo Dallas as a heel Bo Dallas.
And the thing is I don't know what you did necessarily do with Bo Dallas. He's talented, but where do you put him?
Here's the crappy thing that they did with Curtis Axel. They had him come in with absolutely no ties to his father.
Yeah.
And that's really shitty. Like, Bo Dallas comes from a wrestling family as well, with IRS and, Blackjack Wyndham or whatever.
Let's Mike Rotundo.
Yeah.
He's IRS, but he's had more success, I think, as Mike Rotundo. He won the tag championships with Mike Rotundo, at least.
But, I mean, like... And he's got Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is his brother. Breaking kayfabe, he's his brother.
Right.
Have him do something with that.
And it's ultimately, I think it's just have him do something.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he hasn't shined in the singles, in singles action. So be it. Maybe you put him in a tag team. And I don't know who you tag him with, but maybe you do another one of those second or third generation stars like they did in the past. And you package them with Curtis Axel, and maybe you have them both rip off their parents' gimmicks. Yeah. You have Curtis Axel be the new Mr. Perfect. You have him be the new IRS. Whatever.
Yeah.
Play a little bit on it. I feel bad for Bo Dallas because I know he's talented.
Oh, yeah, he was good in NXT. He wasn't a gimmick in NXT.
Right.
And then they brought him up, and he just instantly became a comedic gimmick.
And I find some enjoyment in some of the comedy stuff, but it's not working. They need to find a way to make it work because
if it's someone like R-Truth, whatever, R-Truth is not that big. He can be a comedic gimmick and he can carry it and whatever.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately R-Truth has personality to his gimmick. Mm-hmm. The problem with Bo Dallas is his gimmick, it doesn't allow him to really have personality.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Another thing that isn't on my list, but I thought about it, is Goldust. There was rumors that he was leaving, and then he just squashed them on Twitter.
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean,
I think he's content with his position in the company. I mean, he's had a very, 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 very successful career.
oh yeah.
Even though he's not he's not carrying the world title every 3 months, he's been very successful, and he established, a top 5 most memorable characters in the WWE.
I mean, you look at him and you wouldn't think that he's, like, Attitude Era wrestler.
Yep.
Like 40 some years old, 44 maybe. Like, you wouldn't look at him and be like, oh yeah. You'd look at him and be like, oh, he's a, John Cena type.
Yeah.
That, wasn't around in the Attitude Era, but Goldust was there.
Yeah. And he's still fun to watch. He's funny.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, I think, is they let him show his personality.
The only other thing I have is Cruiserweights need storyline.
Yeah.
They can't keep going with the whole, shake hands at the beginning of the match and show respect, because it's not a tournament anymore.
It's time to get away from the Cruiserweight Classic and establish heels and faces and build storylines.
Yeah.
And I realize part of that is you don't necessarily have a huge division that's on Raw. You have a lot of them are spending time in NXT. That's what I have the most hopes for. I wanted it to be on SmackDown. I understand why you put it on Raw, but I wanted it to be on SmackDown because I think it would have been more heels and faces and more traditional to an extent, but allowed to do a little bit more on SmackDown. But so be it. It's on Raw, and I have no problem with that. But yeah, we know Brian Kendrick's a heel, although they make him do face stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
And you got TJ Perkins, who you're pushing as a face, I guess.
Yeah, as soon as you throw the title into the mix, it's like you need to have storyline. You need to have heel and face and whatnot.
You need to start building that division that way.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see that change. So, now we'll move into my mess, and it could take a few minutes as I scroll through stuff, but the very first thing I had, an interesting thing, and this has nothing really to do with wrestling, but while I was watching one of the pay-per-views, Clash of Champions perhaps, there is a commercial for the network. And interestingly enough, whose voice is on it but Hogan? Does this mean that WWE is testing the waters there a little bit?
I read that he's coming back at WrestleMania.
I kind of had, I didn't read it anywhere, but that was kind of my feeling of like, they've kind of gotten over it. I was so shocked, I had to rewind. I'm like, rewind that. Did I just hear Hogan's voice?
Well, I mean, it's Hulk Hogan. Say what you want about him, but it's Hulk Hogan. There wouldn't be a WWE if there was no Hulk Hogan.
Right.
Plain and simple. Like,
and the thing is, yeah, he said a lot of shitty things, and I don't agree with him on any of it, but you gotta admit that he was there. There's a lot of history there. And ultimately, what he says in his anyone on that roster could be that racist, and we just don't know it because Hogan is the one who got caught.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, was it shitty? It was shitty, but
even then, I don't think he really perceived it as being racist.
Right.
Like, I mean,
it is what it is.
Yeah, one of those things where if someone gives you an inch and you take a mile, thinking that you're in the right. Like, oh yeah, you can use that word. One person tells you can use that word, and you're like, hey, I'm going to use it. And then, you catch the backlash, and it's like, no, you can't do that. Plus, he's like 60.
Well, he's from a different era too. Really, I mean, he's an old guy, and you can say what you can say back then. And here's the thing: is to be frank. We hanging out with Jory. There's times where similar things have been said, and it's in jest because it's amongst friends. Mm-hmm. We're not famous, so no one really says anything. It could just as easily turn around on us, and it's does that make it right? It doesn't make it right. But really, you put the power into the words, and I guess it is what it is. We'll see what happens.
At least he didn't kill a dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Another thing in my notes is just the weird SmackDown promo with Bray Wyatt and Orton.
Oh, where he's searching.
Where he's searching backstage.
I maybe got halfway into it because for some reason the first 41 minutes didn't record for me. So
It was really weird.
the end of it was weird.
And it wasn't good weird.
I thought it was a technical malfunction at the end where he sat down with the mask and was and then Bray Wyatt was back and laughing.
Yeah.
I thought that was just technical difficulties, and then JBL was like, "Well, that was weird."
Yeah.
I didn't.
The only thing out of it, the one thing out of it, is there's at one point where Randy Orton's backstage. He's backstage searching for Bray Wyatt, and there's a door, and he's gonna open it, and the camera's on the other side of the door. I'm almost positive it was Luke Harper back there, which means Luke Harper's back, which is good because I like Luke Harper.
Yeah.
He's my favorite in the Wyatt family. I like him more than I like Bray.
Yeah, I do. Too.
And he's just amazing. Dean Ambrose's one of Dean Ambrose's promos was kind of creepy. I have in here.
Was that in the beginning or the end?
It was in the very beginning of SmackDown. He cut a promo, and it was kind of creepy. It was stalkerish creepy. Some of the things he said was just okay, this is weird. Kurt Hawkins we'll find out about tomorrow.
Maybe.
And then you had the Ambrose AJ Styles match, and Cena got involved, and it was a clusterfuck.
Yeah. Cena hit both of them with an A.
Yeah, it was what it was.
An FU.
Yep. TNA. Let's move on. TNA is looking for investors. Somebody coughed up the cash, so that Bound for Glory's going on.
Maybe it was one of the Smashing Pumpkins' old touring band mates.
Ultimately, a lot of it leans toward it looks like maybe it's WWE buying it. Which, if that happens, the general assumption is the back library will be gained by WWE and put on the network, which is good.
Yep.
And TNA will disappear.
Yeah.
Which would also be good.
And it'd be terrible for, Damien Sandow.
Well, Sando left on good terms.
Yeah.
But it still sucks for him.
Yep. You get away and you go where you want, and then you just get sucked right back in.
Yeah. I think that ultimately there's a handful, 5 to 10 people on that roster that would find a place in the WWE, and the rest would be kind of sent packing.
I think Abyss would have had it been 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty old now too.
I think that the Hardys will have a place. I think that EC3 will have a place. I think that Bobby Lashley could find a place.
Mm-hmm. Is Mr. Kennedy still with TNA?
I don't know. I don't watch TNA. I don't even know who else is there. That's what I know who's there, and I can see those guys finding homes.
Eric Bischoff, is he still?
No.
Yeah.
But it will. That's going to be an interesting thing playing out. Probably find out by the next roundtable what happens there. There's been a lot of talk about Rob Van Dam on a potential return to WWE.
If he stops smoking weed.
Well, it's ultimately they haven't contacted him. However, he's admitted that he has a thing with kind of that's set up with WWE, like Jericho.
Yeah.
Where he'll come back for 3 months, and then he can go again, or he'll come back for a couple days. And the big thing is if he comes back, he said he's going to just come back and do TV primarily. But it'd be interesting to see him come back. And there's a lot. The thing is there's a lot of guys in the roster right now that he's actually friends with.
Yeah.
You have Rhino. You have a lot of those old ECW guys that are floating around there that would be interesting.
I like Rob Van Dam.
I love Rob Van Dam. He was the weird thing is during the Attitude Era, well, even before that, I watched WWE. I was a stalwart. I didn't watch a whole lot. I would watch the Nitro replay after I watched Raw. And even when Nitro was dominating with the NWO and all the super ratings, I watched Raw, and I would watch Nitro afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But through that whole span, RVD was my guy. I anytime I could rent an ECW pay-per-view, I rented it. And I realize he's in his mid-40s now, but he could still be a part-timer that comes in and be enjoyable to watch.
Oh, yeah. I watched him on ECW when they had TV deals going on.
Yeah.
I would catch ECW once in a while.
It would be nice to see him back. He's very talented.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. Other things that I have. Del Rio, evidently, on Sunday was supposed to be October 2nd. That was yesterday.
Mm.
He was supposed to be in the main event, I believe, of a show in Mexico as in a tag team with, I don't remember what the guy, Dr. Clown something, was his tag team partner. And it's in Mexico. It's a whole different scene, but and he no-showed. So, once again, Del Rio probably burning some bridges.
Mm-hmm. He's still in the commercial for WWE 2K17.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Like he got in there, and I guess maybe the commercial got thrown together right before. Is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of interesting that everybody kind of questioned to an extent
his work ethic and his attitude.
Well, there was a lot of he has horrible work ethic, he has this horrible attitude, and then people are like, well, it's just the WWE, they don't want to push him, and well, this kind of shows that maybe that's not the case.
Yeah.
Can't even show up for an independent show that you booked. So we'll see the continuing story of Del Rio. Next thing in my list I have is Raw canceled. There's a lot of talk about the dip in ratings.
The lowest they've had since
the 90s.
Pre-Attitude Era?
Yeah. And does that lead the show to get canceled? I don't think it does yet.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's a year from now, if we're still not seeing anything better than this, maybe you get canceled or you get a smaller spot. You get moved to a different time slot.
Here's the thing. If it gets canceled, they're just going to put it on the network. They'll air it on the network.
Right.
It really doesn't bother the WWE too much that they lose a TV contract.
Well, I mean, they're losing out on money.
Yeah.
It would. I think it would be a shot to an extent, but I think that we'll see changes before that happens. And there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, it would be Mick Foley's fault." I don't think it's not his fault. You gotta have writing. And here's just something I don't have on my list, but that's tied to that. An interesting thing is just when Paul Heyman re-signed, I believe a big part of and it's rumored that a big part of what he'll be doing is working creative, which I think is very good for the company because Heyman is very talented. He's talented on the mic. He's talented in front of the camera. He's also very talented behind the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of hope for that. And I don't think... Here's the thing is... when you see those lows, that's when we come out with some of the best television and the best wrestling product from WWE. Mm-hmm. Is when things dip that low. So I have some hope.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny that Raw is the one that's suffering, even though they kind of took all the star power and put it on Raw and left SmackDown with not much. You have the rumors of The Undertaker at WrestleMania and or Royal Rumble.
Yep. Well, the Royal Rumble's in his home state, so...
I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see the Taker make his return at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And be involved somehow to set up his match for WrestleMania. Taker's in great shape still. Just seeing the pictures of him. I get that he's old and he's taken abuse. But I don't think we've seen the end of The Undertaker yet.
No. Maybe he comes in the Royal Rumble, wins the Royal Rumble, and fights, let's say, Kevin Owens at WrestleMania.
Right. And maybe he wins the title. Who knows? And then maybe we see him for a short span again. Ultimately, I'm not shocked by that news. That it's been all but confirmed that he will be at WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
There's also talk of another person returning, that being Steve Austin. Steve Austin has a new deal supposedly with WWE, and this is all rumors. It's not necessarily at all fact, but it's that he has a deal. It's not to wrestle, but he's going to be an on-screen personality of some sort. We'll see how that pans out. I'm interested to see where it goes if that actually happens. I love Steve Austin. He's a great personality. He's funny. He's relatable. He's enjoyable to watch. So, Jamie Noble got stabbed. It's kind of a crazy story. Was out, cut somebody off. These guys showed up and ended up stabbing him. It's kind of crazy. He's okay though, thank God. Jack Gallagher and Tommy End have finished their commitments in Britain, so we'll be seeing them in either NXT or WWE. I think Gallagher brings some very, very interesting style to the Cruiserweight division if he comes to the main roster. I haven't watched enough of Tommy End to make a decision on it.
I haven't either.
I've seen a little bit. He's definitely talented, but I'm curious to see where they go with him. And the last thing I have is just the Dusty Rhodes Tag Tournament, which starts this Wednesday. We don't have all the teams yet, and we do not have a bracket yet. But some of the teams, we have Cien Almas and Cedric Alexander, which is an interesting kind of a cruiserweight team in the tournament. You have the Revival, who are the tag champions, even though this has nothing to do with the championship. You have DIY in Gargano and Ciampa. You have Bobby Roode and Ty Dillinger, and they have like marvelously something they call themselves, which is a very interesting team.
Glorious Bobby Roode.
Or maybe it's glorious. So I don't remember, but
Perfectly glorious.
Yep, something like that. Gloriously perfect. That's what it is. You have Sabatelli and Riddick Moss.
Two people I've never heard of.
They're relatively new in NXT. You have the Dream Team of Hideo Itami and Kota Ibushi, who are both incredibly talented. You have the Bollywood Boys, who took part in the Cruiserweight Classic. Yep. You have TM61, who have been around for a while in NXT now. You have Tucker Knight and Niko Bojovic.
I gotta look him up.
I believe that these guys call themselves Heavy Machinery. They're more of a heavyweight, a heavy throw their weight around deal. You have the Authors of Pain.
Are they still managed by?
I don't know. I haven't watched NXT in the last. Yes, Paul Ellering is still managing them. You have Ho Ho Lun and Ben Wang. Ho Ho Lun from China, who took part in the Cruiserweight Championship. Ben Wang is the first signee to the WWE from China, so that'll be interesting. You have Noe Jose and Rich Swann, which I'm sure will be the party team. You'll see a lot of dancing.
Yep.
You have Lynn Storado and Mustafa Ali, which is another cruiserweighty team. And then you have two teams that haven't been announced, I believe, and you have Team Aries, which is Austin Aries and a mystery partner. And the hot word on the street is that said mystery partner will be Roderick Strong, Mr. Ring of Honor, who was basically a big star in Ring of Honor. And just going through that list, you have a lot of very talented guys. And I'm also, as much as a fan I am of cruiserweight wrestling, I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling. And this is something else that I'm looking forward to, and it's something really cool that NXT is doing. So, we'll have to see where that goes. It's all it is for, hey, you won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. No title, nothing. However, last year's winners were... You remember?
Yeah, Finn Balor and Samoa Joe.
Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. So you can build a name out of that.
At most, you can you put yourself right in the title hunt for the tag titles.
Right.
So
we'll have to see where that goes. That's what we have, coming up, or what's occurred in the last month. It hasn't been that exciting of a month, but there's some interesting things coming up.
To note, Raw is taking place right now.
Yep, it started 34 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So once we're done here, we'll go back and we're going to watch the recording of it. So we don't know what's happening on Raw. Maybe things have turned topsy-turvy. Maybe Samoa Joe and Nakamura both are on the main roster, and
maybe
the title is abandoned. I don't know.
Maybe we just did this part of this for nothing, and we're all wrong.
Yeah.
So,
thanks for watching. We have a third part coming up where we're going to discuss our theory on No Mercy. It'll be a little bit shorter video, but we always like to put our opinions out there of what's going to occur. We would be putting out something on Hell in the Cell, but we probably didn't. We might be missing that card being built right now, but we don't have it.
yeah.
So thanks for watching again. If you liked what you saw, what you heard, you want to hear more of us talking about wrestling, go ahead and subscribe. You'll get it once a month on the 15th. You leave our comments if there's topics you want us to discuss, if there's something you want us to do, our top 10 favorite wrestlers, leave that in the comments. We'll do that for you guys. We just enjoy doing this stuff. It's really fun. So thanks again for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Later.